Well, good day to all the TLC Health Freedom Tribe. This is Monday, the 28th of March of 2022. And we meet every Monday at 6 p.m. This is a educational, informational video that Tustin Longevity Center here in Southern California puts out. I'm a holistic general practitioner, published in Science on cell membrane and chronic fatigue, and have been practicing in functional medicine for over 40 years. And we have 5 healthcare providers, although 2 of them are wonderfully out on maternity leave, so we wish them well. Dr. Kaur had a beautiful little baby girl about 3 weeks ago, and Dr. Patel is due any day, and so we're praying and wishing them well in their new families and expanding families. So we try and make this available so that we can have some generalized discussions, maybe how we would try and approach integrative functional care for any question you might have. This isn't to replace your meeting, your appointments with your doctor. This is not meant to be instructions to any of my personal patients. This is rather an open discussion. If you are a patient and you have a specific question, I'll give generalized advice. But again, if it's specific to you, please call and make a formal phone consult so I can formally get that into your chart, what my advice would be to you in particular. Okay, so our number here is 714-544-1521. That's 714-544-1521. And we're here at Tustin Longevity Center in Southern California, Tustin, California, with a wonderful team of people and staff doing functional medicine. And we see, I guess, just about anything. And we come alongside of our specialists, our consultants, in case people are under specialized care. And we try and create an integrative, blended, improved result for them. So let's see. Let's begin with asking, just a minute, let me get my other computer here. The first question is with KS. Okay, KS, do you know if POTS, that's postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, is an autoimmune disease or something else? Are there any curative treatments rather than just symptomatic treatments only? And then she says, thanks. Okay, yes, POTS syndrome is a difficult syndrome, and it is not well known what the cause is. The person can stand up from a seated or a lying position and then get thrown into a tachycardia, lightheaded and fainting. And so this is found on one of these gurney, Barney type tables where they take your blood pressure laying and then tilted and so forth. And they can find that the heart rate response to your spatial position at the moment is not responding in the way that it normally should. And it overshoots and creates a tachycardia. We often will see this, or I have seen it in adults, but mostly in adolescents. And these are young children who were considered formerly healthy and then probably had some viral illness. There are those who say it follows a series of the vaccinations. I think there's 69 required vaccinations now between birth and high school. 72 I've heard as well. And so not all people can handle that kind of immunologic stress. And maybe there is then an autoimmune attack. Then you add in the genetically modified foods. You add in the food hydrogenated fats for shelf life, processed food storage for long-term shelf life. Then you add in the high fructose corn syrup, high carbohydrate sugars. Then you add in the late night YouTube kind of, social medium and blue screen or the green screen visuals. Then you add in more sedentary lifestyle. Then you add in electromagnetic stress. Then you add in the complications that it can cause, like leaky gut or hypothyroid or thyroiditis. And so you see, it would be very hard to attribute this to just one thing. So we here at Tesla Longevity Center would take a holistic approach, and we would start looking because most things start from what we actually take down into our bodies through our throat. And we feel that there's some kind of a chronic gastrointestinal inflammatory, then leaky gut, then immune inflammation that makes you handle common colds or other stressors less well. And then you can get maybe chronic viral issues, and then more cycling of the autoimmune fight to kill off a chronic viral infection, which then leads to further insults and stressors. And then maybe your body just can't handle it, and your baroreceptor, stretch receptors in your heart and your heart valves, chambers, and so forth are just not capable of it, and then we get these problems. But we also believe and have been taught, I wasn't taught this in the 1970s when I started medical school, but we were also taught back then that, things don't, change. Your nerves don't regrow back. Myocarditis, inflammatory muscles lining both the outside and inside of the heart never repair. And so we were kind of taught a kind of dead end. Once you're an adult, the tissue you have is what you have. And now we know from the brain to the toe, there's neuroplasticity and regeneration. So we instead believe that your body is trying to repair and restore the health of all tissues. Even the reformation of some scarring and tissue is noted. So is there treatment? Well, it's the same process that we kind of painstakingly do with every patient and our own selves here, is trying to move into a lifestyle that is detoxifying, removing the insult, replacing the needed elements for repair or augmenting them, looking for deficiencies, detoxing, and teaching in a diet and emphasizing, that we're made of protein and fat. Double cell layer of the cell membrane is a bilipid membrane. Remember, we always show this picture here in my background. This is the injured oxidative stress right here. And then this is the healed double kind of sandwich layer of these phospholipids. And that's only from eating, fats and protein and egg yolks and things like that, which they've frightened us away from eating. But they should frighten us away from eating all this starch and too much carbohydrate and fruit sugars. So I do see that there's value. I think there's value in having your cardiologist follow along with POT syndrome, and to have your endocrinologist in case there's some adrenal damage for stress, and then maybe a neurologist. So we work with our consultants to achieve the greatest outcome. Hopefully that's helpful. Debbie S. says, hi, Dr. Rita. What do you think of muscle testing and chiropractors that use this to diagnose? Thank you. Well, applied kinesiology is talking about energy medicine. This is back many decades, vibrational medicine, and what are some other books written on this? Everything has a vibrational frequency. Each atom, each molecule has its own vibrational frequency. So if you take a nutrient, let's say a apple, or you take a vitamin pill. Let's say it's an iron tablet for anemia for women who have heavy menstrual cycles, and you put that iron in their hand. That energy of the iron tablet supplement is coming into the whole energy sphere of the human being, and it does have a signal. It's a science in and of itself, and it's a real science. And so if you put that in your hand and your body senses there's iron that I need, I want that iron, this is good, I like this iron, and that's a very infantile way of saying the energy of that item in your hand is energetically speaking or synchronizing with all the energetic waves of your body. Then if you push down on your arm on the opposite side, it's going to be strengthened if you push on it. And this would be an indication felt by many practitioners of applied kinesiology that this is a good thing. If in fact you put that iron in your hand and it is not an iron deficiency that's your body needs, but you actually have an iron excess, then that would bring in more of the unnecessary wavelengths of that electromagnetic sphere of impression into your energy. And then if you're weakened by it, because it's more of a burden being brought near your body, then if you press down, your arm will go down. All right, so there are computerized models of this where you'll be holding two electrodes that are in sync with the electric energy of your body. And if you put on a plate in that message cycle circuit, the iron, allegedly, if you need it, it will enhance the signal. If you don't need it, it'll diminish the signal. And then they'll say yes to a supplement, no to a supplement. There's bidigital O-ring testing. Mara's. I had these people teach me. I did another doctorate in this, so I'm very well versed in this. But now you have to ask, in practicality and reproducibility, how reproducible is this? And can it become an art of the clinician who's applying it? Can that art be more of a clinician's cumulative experience and not so much the science? And I'm going to say it's more of the former rather than the rather. I think clinicians who have done this are probably sincere and trying very much to do and measure this with their own sensation as they hopefully apply the same pressure each time and assess the patient's resistance or acceptance. But it's subjective. And so I, as a medical doctor, I need to have science and reproducibility in my sphere of licensure. I'm not saying it's wrong to do applied kinesiology or energy medicine. I'm just saying know what you're dealing with and the limits of its absolute impact. There are some people who swear by this and they do an entire practice on this. There's grounding in the morning. So let's say the practitioner who does the applied kinesiology and putting the various substances in your energy sphere, what if they had an argument with their spouse that day and they started the morning off and they were very hurt by what the spouse said or did or some bad news? Now, even outside information can impact your energy or of the patient. And so if you're testing in that environment, you're going to have an inferior test because of other mitigating energetic influences on either the practitioner assessing you or the patient. And some people use a pendulum to look at its spin and the energy and grounding themselves and all manner of items. I'll tell you what I do. I get up very early every morning and I read 4 chapters of my Bible. And I read the Bible cover to cover every year of my life. And that grounds me. It takes me about 10 minutes a chapter. It takes me about 40 minutes every day to just put myself where I'm at in the universe, on this planet, at my home, in my chair, in light of all of the world, and understand I can only do so much, and yet I can do enough. And that helps me spiritually ground myself with my faith in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, and that I'm here to be of service and not seek to be served. He did the greatest thing by dying for all my sins, so that gives me the greatest peace. And so I can go about my day. So that's how I have decided to live my life and ground myself to the Word of God every day. That's not to say I couldn't, and I have learned how to do applied kinesiology, but I will say I think there's a lot of potential for interference, and there's a lot of potential for the charisma of that clinician to maybe be overbearing, because it's hard to define applied kinesiology, even the computer forms of it and the printouts as well. So there you have it. Is it something that we need to look at? I would say yes. And do I think a day comes if the second coming of Christ isn't imminent and we're here hundreds of years still? I think a day will come where energy medicine will be more of the standard, and it'll be more scientifically, reproducibly standardized. And maybe like on Star Trek, where they had that tricorder, and Bones, the doctor, would put the tricorder over the person, and it would go, and then he would get the electronic readout of the atomic energies of your body and what's disturbed and what needs to be done. So I'm not against it. I'm just saying it's not ready for prime time, but it certainly is interesting. Okay, so the next item question is, let's see what that is. Sean Espinoza says, hi, Dr. E. Hi, back to you, Sean. I am starting my second set of 30 chelations tomorrow. Any concerns of mineral depletion with twice a week chelations? Thanks for all you do. And the answer is no, there is no concern. This is mythology. I have been doing chelations. I've been chelated since I was 16 years old. And at 68, I have to say I've probably had in my lifetime a couple hundred, at least, maybe 300 chelations. And if you're eating a healthy diet, meats and fish and chicken and pork and crustaceans and eggs, and then you're having some nuts and seeds and some fruits and vegetables, you should have all the minerals. And especially as you age, if you're taking digestive enzyme, or if you're a blood type A and you're taking digestive enzymes, you should have all the minerals you need. Nevertheless, we give a multi-mineral vitamin to everyone who is on chelation therapy, because this myth just is like a haunting, that just won't go away. And it's too hard to try and get financing and research to show that there's no mineral deficiencies. Now, I'm doing red blood cell mineral analysis all the time on my patients. And I see people who are not chelating. They come to me with mineral deficiencies. Then we work with them, and they do chelation, and some do the follow-up red blood cell minerals, and we find it's always improved. So chelation never had a part in being established. That's always theory, and I just have never seen it happen. But as a teaching, since I teach chelation therapy and have taught it to physicians in the American College for the Advancement of Medicine, I was on the board and I'm still a teacher. We still have it as a protocol. If you're on chelation therapy, to use a very good multi-mineral with a regular healthy diet. And I have never once in all these years of my life, over 50 years, seen a mineral deficiency from chelation therapy. So I would say bravo, Sean, and you'll do well. Debbie S. Hi, Dr. Alatharp. She says, hi back to you, Debbie. Is niacin beneficial for anything? Well, niacin is one of the B vitamins, and it is the one that can give you that flush. The niacin hexamide, which is a type of modified niacin, it prevents that flush, but you still get the B vitamin benefits of it. And what are the benefits? Well, a lot of people have used this for the cholesterol lowering benefits, lipid metabolism, but for energy and your many reasons why B6 is used in so many cofactors and reactions throughout the body. We could have a whole hour of lecture just on niacinamide, niacin hexa. I can't remember the exact full chemical name of it, but the modified one that prevents the flushing. But that's what it has done to help with the lipid profile, the cholesterol reduction, cardiovascular health, energy, and so much more. But if you're taking a very good methylated B complex, which we have here as well, then you should really not have a need to use extra niacin. I can't really think of anyone that I'm recommending that to because we have such good results with everything else we do. So hopefully that answers your question, Debbie. Let's see, Sean has a second question. Sean Espinoza says, hi, Dr. E, can you discuss the purpose and benefits of taking systemic enzymes such as orthomolecular vascuzyme and recommended minimum dosages? Thank you. God uses enzymes to chew up dead, wasted materials that can't be revived, you might say. So a cell that has gone into apoptosis, cell death, there's debris there, and that debris needs to be cleaned up, chopped up, and swept away. So you can think of systemic enzymes as soap suds that help to emulsify, you might say, and put into little packages, little pieces for removal. And then in that process, by cleaning up these waste materials, this is called anti-inflammatory. So these systemic enzymes reduce the inflammation of the dirt and dust and debris of the buildup of damaged, dying, and aging cells. The older we get, we have a higher rate of dying, broken down, and debris accumulation of dead, old, unrevivable cells. And that makes us tired. That makes us lose our memory. That promotes plaque formation. That produces joint inflammation and aging and eventual death. So the older you get, you all need to start some systemic enzyme on a regular basis. Women, during their menstrual time of the month, when they're younger women and even teenagers, instead of these drugs like Midol and over-the-counter medicines for cramps for menstrual cycles, Advil, which will make the menstrual bleed heavier because it thins the blood, these systemic enzymes will help disinflame and clear out the debris of a menstrual cycle. So it's even useful for young girls, young boys in sports who want to have quicker repair from their workouts, in the military, sports athletes. All the Olympiads that I've ever dealt with throughout these 40 years in training or that have come through my care, they've all learned about the value of taking systemic enzymes because they push their cell to the limit for their muscles and their tendons, and they a little bit of damage, then a little, and then repair, damage and repair, damage and repair cycles to build up this endurance and this muscle mass. They have to take these systemic enzymes. So what is the value of them? It's an anti-inflammatory. It's anti-aging. It'll slow your aging. It is a pain reliever. It is a natural blood thinner. It is something that is associated with better performance of all your organs just by the mere fact that it disinflames your whole body. But you have to drink enough water. So if you don't drink the water, then it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's cleaning up, but you're not changing your soapy water, so to say. And so you're mopping with that same moppy, dirty water throughout the entire house instead of changing the water room to room. So each room gets a cleaner floor experience. So just use some of these common sense principles, and I think hopefully that will help you to understand the benefits of taking systemic enzymes on an empty stomach, because you want that to be absorbed into your body, whereas digestive enzymes are taken after the meal to get into your stomach to chop up the food you just ingested into better assimilatable or useful materials for your body to repair with. Okay, let's see, what else do we have? Maxine. Hi, Maxine. Thank you for all you do. Well, God bless you. I notice most prepared mayonnaise has soybean oil. What are your thoughts on eating mayonnaise? I don't like mayonnaise for that reason, because it is made with so much soy. And I certainly don't think young men should be exposed to that, because soy beans are the most, I guess maybe secondarily or equally so competitive for the first place is corn. But corn and soybeans are so genetically modified. So I just don't think that that's a good thing to do, is to take that. So I don't use much mayonnaise. I use butter. I use salt. I use pepper. I've kind of really made it basic. And then if I go out to eat, and there are other spices, it really makes the meal quite entertaining. But then again, if you go out a lot, then you're numb to the uniqueness of it. So everything's a balance, you know. You got to go out less often. So each time you do go out on a more limited basis, it's much more entertaining. You need to eat less treats so that when you do have them, they're much more received as a exciting moment as opposed to an entitlement. And mayonnaise just has never shown up in my life as a big factor, but the soy definitely is a concern for its genetic modification, and that's why I try and steer clear of it. Lynn Espinoza says, hi, Dr. Rita. Hi, back to you, Lynn. Can you discuss the purpose and benefits of magnesium supplementation and recommended dosages? Thank you. Well, I think your husband asked the recommended doses of Vascuzyme. Now, as a maintenance anti-inflammatory, I think 3 or 4 once a day is probably all you need if you're really feeling good and you're not aching and you're not inflamed and you're not aged. Then that's a good dose, 3 to 4 once a day on an empty stomach. I take 5 twice a day because I'm nearly 70 and I put my body through a lot. And now with the 2 lady doctors out with their babies and they're going to be gone 4 months, I have to work every day now. I'm working 6 days a week. And yesterday, Sunday, I cooked my chicken roast. I cooked my meatloaf. And I cooked up a beef chuck roast so that I had all my cooking for the week done and ready, so I'm not tempted to eat out or get caught eating out. And so I had my cleaning to do and church, and so I'm for the next 4 months I'm probably going to have no free day. So I need your prayers. Pray for me. But to stay well and to stay vibrant, I need those enzymes to take away that junk, that broken down cell, so a new cell can emerge in its place and repair, so bruises, go away. So sinus allergies, seasonal allergies for me, I have that problem. I need my systemic enzymes, and I need 5 twice a day, period. End of story. If I don't do it, I don't feel as well. And then I have to work out 3 times a week with my trainer. And, I want to have no restrictions, unfortunately I don't. And I praise the Lord for that. Now, regarding the magnesium is probably one of the most important cofactors in hundreds, if not thousands, of biochemical reactions throughout the body. And one of the ways to think about this is you have trillions of cells, and each cell in itself has many internal organs, the nucleus, many hundreds of mitochondrial battery cells inside a cell. It's got the Golgi apparatus, ribosomal complex, reticulum, and on and on. And each of these are doing unique functions like a city. And magnesium is very much like God's pots and pans for making a molecule over here of, let's say, an amino acid, and a molecule over here, a hydroxyl group or an ester, to combine these into carbolic acid or an ethyl group, ethanolamine, or a cholesterol, phosphatidylcholine, a phospholipid. So all these things are being made and reformed and made and reformed. And in order to have this cake bake, you have to pour that stuff into a pan, and then you get out the thing you want. You get your round cake, your bundt cake, your square cake, your muffins, whatever you're baking. And so God has many molecules he bakes, so to say, and his pots and pans that attract the things to put in them to make the new amino acid, the new phospholipid, the new cholesterol ester, the new hormone. All these things have to be on a cooking pan of a mineral, and that's why they are essential. And magnesium is one of the most preeminently studied. Therefore, we know it's the most ubiquitous in need throughout the body. So without it, you won't get these things made. So you can have any manner of symptomology. If you don't have enough of it, you might not have enough protein synthesis for various needs, fatty acid synthesis, cholesterol, and the list goes on, and all their functions. So magnesium in making muscle for peristalsis, very often it helps involved in that action of muscle repair and protein synthesis and peristalsis. It is a smooth muscle relaxer. If you take too much, you could get diarrhea. It relaxes you so much. So what's a good dose for magnesium? I would say 250 milligrams twice a day is probably a decent amount. 500 twice a day, I think, would be on the upper limits. But it's also the form of the magnesium chelate. I like all my minerals attached to a amino acid, magnesium glycinate, magnesium sulfate, and so forth. So we would encourage you to beware that there's rich amounts of minerals in grass-fed beef, pork, the prairie-raised pork, prairie-raised chickens, and so on. So I don't think you need to worry about a mineral deficiency unless you're eating a very, very high-carb diet, a very high-processed diet. then you have more damage. Then you have more need for pots and pans to repair and bake up repair molecules. And thus, so hopefully that helps you understand that. Let's see, Robert Pinsky. Hi, Robert. What kind of doctor is on call the most? An oncologist. Oh, is that good? Is that good? Oh, I gotta write that one down. I'm gonna write that one down, Robert. Let's see. What kind of doctor is on call the most? The oncologist. Bless your heart, Robert. That's why I stay healthy. See, I have to get a good joke or two every week so that I can share and make people giggle and just be silly fun. Silly fun. All right. Silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids. All righty. Thank you for that, Robert. All right. Alicia Arenz. Okay. Hello. Can glutagenics and or SBI Protect powder help a person who feels nausea with eating, who is diagnosed as diabetic? Can type 1 and type 2 can be cured? Well, first part of your question, yes, you can take glutagenics anytime, SBI Protect anytime. And that is something that is part of helping the lining of your one cell membrane layer thick lining from your lips to your anus to heal better. So you could use it once a day, twice a day, 8 times a day, and it's quite safe. Then your second question is, can a type 1 and type 2 be cured? Well, type 1 is the kind that we usually consider childhood onset, insulin dependent, and sudden onset where they get a pancreatitis usually and damage, autoimmune attack of the islets of Langerhans. Their beta cells in their pancreas no longer produce the hormone insulin in response to a glucose load in their gut. Therefore, their cells don't get the receptor message on the membrane to open up and receive the glucose in. So their blood glucose rises, then they become thirsty and not hungry, and they pee all the time, and they lose weight, and then they used to die when they were back in the 1900s, until they discovered insulin. Now, what causes this damage to the production of insulin at the pancreas? And we believe it's an autoimmune. And can you heal from an autoimmune disease? So if you listen to the very first part where we're talking to the first question there on KS's question, you'll understand that we do believe that cells can heal, and that written in your DNA is the healing process. Now, is it capable to get back to 100%? I have seen some insulin-dependent diabetics heal, but I am going to qualify that by saying we got them in their first months of their new diagnosis of type 1 diabetes. Most of these were young adolescents, and their parents were able to exert great authority on how and what they ate, and then they seem to have recovered. The older the person gets, the more stuck in their ways, the more hard it is to help them understand the potential ability that we can reach all the way through the capillaries to their pancreas through a multi-pronged diet, exercise, chelation therapy, vitamin C, enzyme, hormonal, food allergy avoidance, detoxing oxidative stress and heavy metals. All these things can help the body to repair those islet cells, finding out their blood type, learning to stay away from marketing in the system for eating, and rather learn to eat at home and only go out on an occasion, not to eat packaged food, processed foods. That's very hard for today's person, any person to do. including myself. So type 1, I would say we can definitely be a great help. I have a type 1 diabetic woman. I think she's in her early 70s now. She's been with me, I don't know, 15 years, maybe. And she has an insulin pump. And she, since her mid 50s, I think, and she's 70. So yeah, and on that insulin pump, and she does everything. She rotates her diet. She has a menu that she keeps more simplified, very low carb. She exercises every day. She takes the nutrients, the enzymes. She's on the hormones, and her blood levels are like a healthy person. Her hemoglobin A1C can be 5.3, 5.2. Her blood sugars can be, 65, 70, 75. Her triglycerides, 30, and perfect lab. And the only thing is her insulin is non-measurable. Now she has the insulin pumps, so we'll always get a unit or two. Her C-peptide, that looks at more or tries to identify endogenous personal made insulin. And it looks like over the years where it was immeasurable, she really wasn't making any insulin. Now she's starting to make insulin on her own. It appears that she has some beta cell islet function. And so her diabetologist internist is just amazed at how well controlled she is. But she just follows this healthy lifestyle and lives a full, wonderful life. She's just put food into a disciplined arena and has kept it there, but enjoys every other part of her life. Well, her diabetologist just can't take the time to help instruct people how to do this. And they suffer all the consequences of the vision loss and the blood clots and the peripheral vascular disease and the paresthesias and the hypertension and the heart disease and on it goes, and often weight problems. And she has none of these. So my patients teach me so much that I have totally decided to be a possibility thinker and live by faith, hope, and love, because I've just seen so many miraculous healings or miraculous managements of chronic diseases. Okay. Let's see, Deanna. Hi, Deanna. What supplements do you recommend for someone who's recovering from anorexia, particularly healing the brain? Yeah, I think a lot of supplemental love, hugging, paying attention to them, because anorexia is a form of a poor self-image or a distorted self-image. And so I believe their value, my God died for them. That's how valuable they are. And so I think they need a lot of touch and love, vitamin L. Now, from a more scientific doctor, if that's how you want to look at it, they need to repair their cell membranes, and they're made of fat and protein. So their idyllic diet should be a richer fat and protein. And they need to know their blood type. Their blood type, if they're A's, they're going to need help with that with an orthodigestive enzyme to have betaine hydrochloric acid and to have the digestive lipase for the fat digestion and proteases for the protein digestion. Because with anorexia, then they start to go into starvation and they have all this cell damage. So they have to have a healthy diet. So we help them out with the fats with two things. One is called NT powder. NT powder has the phospholipids that help make up that double layer of the phospholipids. And then the second one is clinician's preference oil liquid, to have a little teaspoon of that every day. And then I would also take the protein, which is the SBI Protect. that alone is going to go a long way. And you can mix this all up in some water and just take a big swallow down in the morning and the evening. Now, they do need, if they're A's and they eat, they have to use the orthodigestine. Outside of that, B vitamins, I would give them a very good quality B vitamin or Juice Plus, the fruit and vegetable capsules, with a multi-mineral. We have TLC multimins and vitamin D with K2. And that's it, because they've already had trouble eating. I wouldn't give them much more. So they've got this little liquid powders, NT powder, SBI powder, and the oil to mix up and to drink it down. And then with it, they would take their mineral capsule, their Juice Plus capsule, and their vitamin D. And that should be it, unless they're an A and they need orthodigestive enzyme. And that's how I would address that, Deanna. Okay. Christina. Hi, Dr. E. What is your opinion of stevia? Thank you. Also, would you recommend to stretch daily? Oh, without a doubt. So I do the Pilates with an instructor twice a week. And then I do the kind of kickboxing or muscle resistance with the perfect workout once a week. So at least twice a week, I'm getting the formal supervisory stretching and mild resistance training. And then at least once a week, I'm getting the heavy muscle resistance. But yeah, I believe in stretching is quintessential to a long, long life and good joint. Because if you don't take care of your joints when you can, those joints are going to grab onto you and stiffen up, and that'll bring a shortening and a limitedness to your life. So you got to work on them when you're feeling good, so you keep them feeling good. Now, the other part of your question was, what do I think of stevia? I think stevia is okay. My only argument with stevia is that I believe you tend to get into a situation where you are training yourself to always have to have that sweet taste. And that sweet taste is so risky. It's kind of like you get married and you swear at the altar to God in the front of all those witnesses that you'll be loyal to your husband, but that you're always reading romance books and thinking of other men and movie stars. How can it's going to make your marriage more difficult to be just happy with your husband unless you just start getting those frivolities away. I think stevia is a frivolity. It's reminiscent of getting a sugar fix every day, just like getting a romance book every day, or I guess for a man it would be looking at a Playboy magazine or something like that. We need to just end these things and say these treats ought to really come on a more limited, much limited basis. But today you can go to a gas station and pick up junk food and no one will know you ate it. Everywhere you can go, you can pick up junk food on the way out through the grocery store. So I understand our lives are being pelted with these temptations. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm just willing to admit it before my patient's sake, because I've seen so much improvement with those who overcome it and put their goal and recite their goal every day of why they want to heal, what they're living for. I'm living for my grandchildren now. I want to be functional enough to see my grandchildren graduate college, and I'm going to have to take care of myself in order to do that. That's my motivation, and then of course to serve the Lord. So is stevia okay? Yes. Can it lead you into like a gateway, like marijuana is a gateway, they say, to the drug world? Yeah, so I'd be careful with it. Let's see, what else? Hi, Dr. E. Is 2-to-1 fat to protein a good ratio? I would say so, because in general, the calories in a ketogenic diet should at least be about 60% fat, 70% fat, maybe 20% protein, and 10% carbs. That's kind of a general theme. So yeah, that's a good kind of way to look at it. Karen D says, when should someone be taking a mineral supplement? I take Energy Core or Immune Support regularly. Well, I do too. Now, I'm not using Immune Protect right now because I don't really think, I hope we're all over the fear porn of COVID. So I really think that the minerals in your meat, fish, chicken, eggs, beef, turkey, all that kind of stuff, along with a multi-mineral vitamin like the TLC Energy Core, should be adequate. I do think we need to always take the vitamin D, though, whether summer or not. I have just not seen enough D get through the stratospheric geoengineering with all that heavy metals they inject into the atmosphere. Literally hundreds of thousands of tons are squirt into the stratosphere of the globe to reflect out ultraviolet wavelengths they think are heating if you buy into climate change, which I do not at all. What it is it's hurting my patients because they don't get that UV light and their skin doesn't make as much vitamin D. Okay, so should someone be taking mineral supplement? You know, if you're working to eat well and eat prairie range, and most of the dirt still has a good enough mineral content in it, at least in these areas in America, then I would say you're probably fine with just a all-in-one multi-mineral vitamin with a healthy diet. But I do think, especially as you get older, you have to be more conscientious with taking a mineral, an antioxidant, a D, and systemic enzymes and digestive enzymes as a bare minimum. Let's see. EH says, what, if any, long-term effects or damage is there from recovering from a 107 or 108 fever? Well, those are past the threshold in which we see neurological damage potentially, and it would mean how long did that person get up to that temperature? How hydrated were they when they went in? Now, there's thermal treatments, thermogenesis, where people go in to centers to literally raise up their body temperatures to 105, 106 maybe. And that for a limited amount of time, but they're usually on IV at the same time and well hydrated and monitored because the cell membrane will break down. So people who are healthier and have healthier membranes, and unfortunately, let's say they get injured or will develop maybe a toxin, and that toxin produces a cancer down the road, then they're going to endure heat therapies for cancer treatments and the like much better. So it's going to be a process. It would need a lot of phospholipids, NT powder. It would need a lot of water. It would need EDTA chelation to improve the microcirculation in the brain. And that's how I would begin to approach it. Let's see, Christina Chapman says, hi, Dr. E, what is your opinion? Oh, I did that one. Okay. Supplements. Okay. Amela, okay. Hi, Dr. E. Is organic corn also GM? No, it's allegedly not. And you know, I almost don't believe anybody anymore. I'm getting so old and bitter, maybe, Amela. If it advertises itself as organic corn, I certainly hope it is organic corn. But, you know, what did Monsanto do? Some of its seed germination got into the other fields, and then they sued the farmers for stealing their seeds. it's just a corrupt world. It's a international crime syndicate in every walk of life, from the president to the judiciary to the legislature to the state governors to the state legislature, state judiciary, all the academia, all the news media, all the higher education, universities, and the police forces and the military. There's so much corruption because there's so much lack of godliness, and in my humble opinion. And I sin every day. I'm imperfect, and I struggle to try and set my heart and my intentions each day to know that God's watching me, and I have to account for what I do. But is GMO, non-GMO or organic corn okay? I think on a limited rotational basis, it is. I just have serious doubts that there is any non-GMO corn left in this world. I know for popcorn, the statement is, and I'm not a popcorn expert, but they say the only popcorn that will pop is non-GMO. Is that true? I don't know. But maybe there is some non-GMO corn left on the planet, and that's for popping. I don't know. Harlow Spencer says, good to see you. Good to see you, Harlow. What is the best way to prepare for a surgery? Well, there is evidence and studies that have looked at animals who have had their renal arteries ligated, pinched off, and then they have their surgery, and then they unpinch the renal artery, and then they have another group of animals that have their renal artery pinched off, but they first had IV chelation therapy with vitamin C. Then they have the surgery with their pinched renal artery, and then they unligate it. Then they sacrifice both the animals, and they look at the kidneys, those that didn't get any IV EDTA chelation before the surgery or vitamin C, and those that got it before surgery, EDTA chelation with vitamin C. And the kidneys couldn't be more different. The ones who didn't get it, there's all kind of micro damage to the kidney cells, whereas in the kidneys of the animals that had the artery ligated, and the only benefit they had was pre-surgery, they had some chelation therapy with vitamin C. They had such better perfusion and microcapillary secondary circulation that it was preserved. So what would I do before any surgery? I want an IV of chelation with vitamin C in it. I want to fast. The best outcome before surgery is to fast for 24 hours, not 12. And after surgery, I still wouldn't eat for 2 more days. I would just have a clear liquid diet. And I would take systemic enzymes after the surgery, 5 twice a day or 5 to 3 times a day, especially those 2 days on a liquid diet, to help disinflame the area of the injury of the insult of the surgery. Now, I would not be on systemic enzymes before surgery for 4 days. And that's because systemic enzymes, remember, one of the properties of them is it is a natural anticoagulant. It promotes better circulation. So if you are on enzymes all the way up to the day you have surgery, there might be a little capillary oozing, and the surgeon will get a little ticked off that he had to use so many little tiny little cauterizations on your capillaries. So I always tell my patients to be very low carb, to stop their systemic enzymes 4 days before surgery, the day after surgery, to use the enzymes 5 or more 3 times a day, or at least twice a day, for at least 4 or 5 days, if not 10 days. And then they're going to have a tremendous outcome. Do the chelation before surgery with vitamin C. And I think if you did it, a few days after surgery, you're going to just have so much better healing. And I've all my patients who have done that, their surgeons and their outcomes on their knee replacement, their shoulder surgeries, all their surgeries, they've always done superiorly. Dorothy, hi Dorothy. What is the best way to protect and maintain the brain? Well, that's I would say, honestly, read your Bible. It's very calming. It's very comforting, and it's stimulatory to read the Word, to exercise your brain and think on it. And it is instructional in helping you to stay busy, stay involved in ministering to other people, stay involved in taking, a moderate approach to life. And it teaches, not to be a glutton, not to be a wine bibber that would abuse your brain. So there's so many wonderful things about the Bible outside of the fact that He is God. But then the other thing is to exercise. Exercise is known to help brain. To eat a healthy protein and fats, like the fats that are in the skin of the chicken and the chicken meat, those phospholipids, the cholesterol in real butter. Your brain is close to 75% fat, and it needs those healthy fats. Eating some limited seeds, because there's plenty of carbs in seeds, but there's good essential oils in seeds as well, and nuts as well. Not the cashews. Those are beans. Then eating plenty of protein, fish, chicken, beef, fish, pork, eggs with the yolk in it. Having a good multi-mineral, you have to have a good mineral to help with all these productions as well. So exercise, read, keep your mind active, be in service, get a good night's sleep, stay away from toxins like smoking and alcohol use. And there you go. Dolores McConnell, hi. Hi, back to you, Doris. Brian B, hi, Doc. I'm taking serapeptase, lumbrokinase, nanokinase, MSM, vitamin C. What should I add? Any suggestions? Well, there's all there. I don't know who you are, Brian B, but I would say Juice Plus is the most researched nutraceutical. I don't care what you find on the stupid Google that denies it. There's so much anti-evil sons of Belial kind of material on there. It is the most nutraceutically researched, and the DNA damage repair. Show me any other nutraceutical in there that has multiple studies on DNA damage repair and resilience, and Juice Plus has that. So I've used Juice Plus now about 23 years. I would probably also, so you're on the enzymes, you've got MSM, you've got vitamin C. I would make sure you're taking a D3 with K2, at least 5,000 international units. And then I would probably take, besides the Juice Plus, a good multi-mineral that has the selenium, potassium, magnesium, chromium. Then you could argue, and back to Dorothy Goads, to take iodine, supplemental iodine. That is very deficient in the diet and very helpful for mental acuity. I do that every day. Okay, Dolores McConnell says, is it okay to eat doctor's bar at night after 8 p.m.? I'm sorry, Doris, I gotta say no. It's food, even though it's a great food, even though I made it, I cannot tell a lie. Really, no, you shouldn't eat it in the evening like that. You should really stop eating. Try and stop eating around 6:30. Let's see, Dorothy goes, God bless you. And yes, I am engaging many prayer warriors to cover you. Thank you so much for my family and clinic. I bless you and thank you. I receive it. I need it. You are helping and saving many, many people. Well, with God and with such a wonderful compliant staff and all things work together for them that love the Lord. And I certainly have a wonderful team, and nothing could happen without them. My husband starting this with me, my son's working here. I am a blessed woman. Okay. Dolores, there are days I can't eat by 6 p.m. You know, Dolores, then I would actually fast. You're going to live longer if you could learn to kind of just give up those evenings. You couldn't get your dinner in time, you know. Uh, if you're busy at work, try and eat that doctor's bar at 6 p.m. or in the car while you're driving home, but try not to eat after 6:30. Let's see, Frank Moore. Hi, Dr. E. Loved your comment on climate change. Amen, amen. What is it called? Geoengineering.org. And the guy's name is Dina Whittington. He's been keeping the stats on this and the scientific community. It's irrefutable to argue that this is a bunch of bahooey. Geostratospheric geoengineeringwatch.org. Geoengineeringwatch.org. Dana Whittington. Okay. Anyway, that's a man's name, and he's up in Northern California, so he's been teaching on this forever. Harlow Spencer, love you, doctor. God bless you. We love you too abundantly. And Frank Moore says, in the 1960s, there was an article in National Geographic magazine on the coming ice age. Now it's climate change. Yeah, because when they said everything was going to ice up, and then they said everything was going to heat up, and now they just say climate change. You know, they're just such liars. Okay, I'm going to stop with questions, and I want to bring something very important up, and that is there is a website called, well, two of them. One of them is called the YouTube name of the man, the doctor, is Peak, and the second word is prosperity. Peak Prosperity. And he is a pathologist physician who became prominent in posting during the COVID time. And what is his name? He's Dr. What is his name? And I don't know his name, but Peak Prosperity. And this doctor has a session on March 23rd, 2022, just 4 days ago. And the title of his YouTube program was California is Being Destroyed. Unthinkably bad laws are being proposed. I'm going to ask all of you to go to Peak Prosperity on YouTube. When you get there, you'll see it has kind of like a tree in his logo. And then the last video he did that he put up there is California is being destroyed. Unthinkably bad laws are being proposed. And I need you to watch this. It's 52 minutes and 23 seconds. You can put it on double speed. But when you get there, what you're going to find is you're going to be taken to this lady conversation who is doing surveillance on the California legislature and proposed new bills. And this lady collates and brings to our knowledge 10 different bills, 10 different California legislative bills that are going to be voted on in days. And they're all horrible. California SB 871 adds COVID-19 injection to the list of immunizations for public and private schools, regardless to FDA approval. And there's no personal belief exemptions and very rare medical exemptions. However, if you go to SB 2098, that one talks about removing the doctor's, classifies anti-COVID medical opinions as unprofessional conduct subject to discipline by the medical board. So that's what they're voting on. So SB 871 wants to add the COVID injection to the immunization lists for all the children in school, both private and public, irregardless of FDA approval. No personal belief exemptions, very rare medical exemptions. And if your doctor gives a medical exemption, then guess what? He'll probably be exposed to being classified as anti-COVID medical opinion as unprofessional conduct, subject to discipline by the medical board. Then SB 866, it lowers the age of vaccination concept to 12 without parental consent or knowledge. And then SB 920 authorizes the medical board of this state of California to inspect a doctor's office and medical records without the patient's consent. SB 1464 requires law enforcement to enforce public health guidelines or lose their funding. This is giving the pincher bite of force of law. It requires the law, whereas it just authorized the use at the discretion of the local people. Now it requires the law enforcement to enforce it, the health guidelines. So now you don't need a doctor. You need to go to lawyers for your medical problems. SB 1479 requires schools to create long-term testing plans and report test results to the California Department of Public Health. They want to have surveillance monitoring. SB 1390 prohibits any person, entity from making statements government deems untrue or misleading by any means, including on internet and ads. So they're the ministers of truth now. SB 1390. SB 1184 authorizes school health personnel to disclose the child's medical information without parents' consent to a third party. That's SB 1184. And AB 1797 creates an immunization tracking system giving all government agencies in California access to vaccination records of all persons. And then finally, AB 1993 requires proof of COVID-19 vaccination for all employees and independent contractors in order to work in California. These are proposed. The mere fact these bills are being written and no one's talking about it in the news, and they're going to vote on this in 2 or 3 days, or certainly in the next week. So if you go to Peak Prosperity, you can get a very nice, hear the lawyer talking about it, hear the doctor discuss the implications of it. And the title of this is called, what is the title of it? I lost it. It's called California is Being Destroyed, Unthinkably Bad Laws Proposed. And that was put out on the 23rd of March, 5 days ago. And now, one thing he goes to is the woman and the team that puts these alerts out on information about state governments in California that are proposing bills that take away your rights and inalienable constitutional privileges given by God. If you want to go to their website, they list out all these, they have a nice list of each bill, and then you can click on each bill, and it gives you a little explanation, and then it gives you all the sponsors of the bills, their names, and you'll see State Senator Richard Pan, he's a pediatrician, State Senator Josh Newman, State Senator Scott Wiener, Assembly Member Yvonne Lowe, Assembly Member Cecilia Aguiar Curry, Assembly Member Buffy Wicks, Assembly Member Akila Weber, Assembly Member Philip Ting, and Assembly Member Bill Quirk. And then what I did is I opened up all their contact information so you can click on their name and you can get Senator Pan's district office phone number 916-262-2904, and his capital office phone number is 916-651-4006. Please call tomorrow, please. And then go on to this website, and the name of the website is unityproject.com. Unityproject.com. And Unity Project is because they're doing this for all the state legislatures. When you get to the website, Unity Project, where they give you all this information and contact information so you can call these guys and tell them don't vote for it. At the upper bar, it'll have take action. You click on that and it'll list the 10 bills and it'll list the sponsors and how to reach them. Plus there's another lawyer that explains each bill. But then, you know, I have Senator Josh Newman's contact number, and he is 415-557-1300, and his capital office is 916-651-4011. And then I have the contact numbers for all of them, but they're all on that unityproject.com, and hit the action button, and you'll see all the state sponsored House and Senate bills of concern. And the thing is, they're trying to sneak this through, and they're going to vote on it on March 30th. And we only have 2 days. So please go to Peak Prosperity for March 23rd about California, the terrible laws being proposed, and then listen to that, and then go to unityproject.com, and then you can actually see each bill in particular and the sponsors and their contacts. Call them tomorrow. I've called mine today. Please call them because they need to hear large and loud. And put this on your email list. Let everyone you know call them up and say no to this. So praise the Lord. We really went late today. So I'm going to end here because I need to go to bed. I'm working 6 days a week. All right. So God bless and take care. Good night.